Show production.
This is how the motherfucking show rolls.
Michael DiMaggio.
On the show.
Michael DiMaggio.
It's the rule of two again this season for episode 2 of season 2 of the North Curve. 2 games, 2 wins. You'd think, hey, top of the league, it's not so bad. But the reality is we've been here before, not so long ago, last season. For example, 2 games, 2 wins into the season. And to be honest, last year we did it with a lot more ease than we have this year. Today we stand 2-0 after scraping wins against inferior teams like Atalanta and Chievo. And to top it off, we have the pleasure of seeing our reserves, to be polite, take up most of the playing pitch rather than some of our stars that are either resigned to the bench or the terraces due to their contract disputes. Today, the North Curve welcomes Vice President of Lazio Club Canada, Daniele, whose opinions lie slightly parallel to yours truly, but regardless, all Lazio fans must be heard, whether it be for negative or positive opinions. Dan, how's it going?
Hey, Mike, thanks for having me.
It's not as if we want to be negative all the time. I know we think similar all the time, but Lazio fans, the realism is after failing to pick up a central defender to shore up the leaky defense yesterday as the market closed, once again, our leaky defense, to be polite, that we currently have, I stand here today saying Lazio has digressed as a team and overall as an organization. Would you agree at all with this kind of statement?
Absolutely, Mike. And, we've been waiting for quite some time to finally pick up, some top-notch players on our defense. I mean, it's been about 3 years where we've pretty much had a shaky defense. We're still playing a 38-year-old Sevilla, and Kribari isn't exactly what he used to be. And just over the market, we've lost Rosenal, who, was a pretty promising central defender. So, we're kind of left with our hands up in the air after this market's been finished.
Well, that's just it. I can feel the frustration already coming from across the line from you. Is there one particular thing you could put your finger on as what's bothering you most, or is it simply that we didn't get the defender that had been talked about numerous amounts of times by President Lotito, or is it that sporting director Tade didn't do enough all summer, or is there more to your frustration that goes beyond the Società? What is it?
I think it's a combination of factors that makes me frustrated. I mean, for one, I think most fans kind of were promised that we were going to be picked up. We were going to pick up, about a few good players to, make our defense a little bit more solid. We were kind of hoping for a new central midfielder. I remember last season, a lot of us were pretty disappointed with Ledesma's performance. And, now that we have Baronio, who has been pretty much sitting on the bench for the last 3 years, taking up our midfield, it's kind of a treat to have Ledesma back into our midfield again,
Who would have thought that now we sit here praying for Ledesma's return and making peace with the club, especially after, like you said, Baronio, who spent a few stints in Serie B, and he sat on the bench for most of Delio Rossi's tenure. And now all of a sudden he's made a believer out of Davide Ballardini, or maybe he's just not by choice. He's integrated into the squad.
I have no idea why, our choice was Baronio for the midfield. I don't know, maybe it's time to try out Magni, who has been pretty much sitting on the bench for the last couple of years, and maybe we can try him out as our central mid.
Basically, at this point, it's almost embarrassing that we're left scraping for players. And you read across the forums today, after the dismal transfer window, that saw Lazio actually profit $15.5 million. I don't know how many people really know about that. It's in euros, respectively, from the separate sales, like you mentioned, Rosenhall to Hamburg and Di Silvestri to Fiorentina, along with some other finances they attained. And you're telling me we don't encompass the necessary funds to attract a medium to high caliber status defender? Like, who's kidding who here?
Absolutely. I mean, definitely the club's made a profit over the summer. They just haven't filled the necessary gaps. It makes you wonder what they've been doing all summer. I mean, we've been listening to the same Ledesma, Pandev, and Lolo drama going on all summer. I think it's time that they need to find a new sporting director, and they need to get rid of Tade. I think maybe he's doing his job as good as he did as a striker when he played for Lazio.
Possibly. Really, that is the question on so many poor Lazio fans' minds today. Is after this market closed yesterday, and we had Stu Cazzo to show for ourselves, our only signing, unfortunately. Our poor fans have been resigned to holding out for out-of-contract low-level players today, like Stovini, to possibly provide a plug for the hole that is our defense. Are we a team struggling to survive Serie A with just 4 weeks ago we beat the defending champions of Italy? Because these tactics are tactics of newly promoted Serie A teams fighting for survival.
You know what the interesting thing about Serie A now is that I would say most teams are pretty level now. There are no really weak teams. I mean, we've even seen teams like Cagliari. I believe they picked up Zaccardo. I could be mistaken. Sampdoria. All these teams have grown over the last few years. I mean, Napoli's put out an incredible team. And, this isn't going to be an easy year for us. Despite winning the last 2 games, it remains to be seen. I mean, whether Coach Ballardini can carry this team into January. We're going to be playing Juventus coming up, and that's never been an easy game. I don't think we've even beat Juventus for as long as I can remember. I mean, the best we did last year was a tie, and I believe they beat us 2-0 the second time around.
Well, we did have the success in the Coppa Italia, but it's not the same that translated into the league, of course.
Yeah, the Coppa Italia, I think, is taken a little bit lightly by, the bigger teams, the Inter, AC, and the Juves. Sure, we did win the Coppa Italia. I think we kind of got lucky with the Inter match in the Super Cup.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah.
I think there's still much to be proved, and, I think a lot of fans just don't have that confidence coming into this year.
Is the results of the Coppa Italia and the Super Cup going to be used as a crutch? Because you said, are all of a sudden now we're saying, hopefully Ballardini can get us to January with a respectable record, and then maybe we can provide an assault or an about face into the transfer market like Lotito's done in the past when we made the Champions League, and then he realized, wait a minute, we don't have enough players to fight on both fronts, and then he goes and he buys like 800 players that, once, it was too little too late at that point.
And we've seen this before when he picked up Vignaroli, when he,
Oh, who could forget, yes.
Serie B, and, he's done incredible for the team. A scoreless striker, barely played. And I think, if Lotito goes out there and he picks up some of these players who are, on free contract, I think it's just a safe face at this point. I mean, the club failed to act during the transfer market and pick up good quality players that were needed and could have been attained. I mean, we could have obviously picked up Zaccardo. I don't think that was out of our reach.
No, absolutely not. Parma, actually, to be honest with you, was the team that picked them up, and all of a sudden they're throwing their weight around, and they just got promoted back to Serie A. They picked up Bojinov as well, not to mention Desena they got from Sampdoria as well. I mean,
yeah, and there's another quality future talent for Italy right there.
And we're giving ours away in the likes of Di Silvestri, who made no secret that the reason why he left was President Lotito. Yeah. When has somebody ever left this club on good terms?
And you make a good point there, Mike. I mean, every time somebody leaves Lazio, it's, they always have a grudge towards the club. I've never once read an article, in the last couple of years of a player leaving on their own terms and, happy, with Lotito. He definitely doesn't have a good relationship with the players.
He once said that Pandev was like a son to him, and now all of a sudden he's caught in a legal battle with Goran Pandev as he fights for his rights, it seems as if, and that's what we've been resigned. And as of today, we can expect Ledesma and Pandev to be excluded once again from our Europa League squad. So basically we have to make do with what we've seen so far already.
Well, I'm hoping that he can kind of make amends with Ledesma. But, I mean, as far as Pandev goes, I mean, his demands are, I think he's asking a little bit too much. His contract wasn't even over, and he's already demanding more money. I mean, he agreed to his terms when he first signed with the club, so I think he should pretty much wait till his contract's over, which is only going to be in another year. He didn't exactly have the best year last year.
Yeah, by his standards, of course, no.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the thing is, though, as his contract gets near